Dr. Hyun-Ki Park felt small as his ship moved toward the giant crystal space station. The station was bigger than any city on Earth. It shined like a diamond in space, with thousands of lights blinking along its surface. This was the Galactic Medical Assembly, and Hyun-Ki was the first human doctor ever invited to join. "Doctor, we're almost there," said Ji-won, his young assistant. She was looking out the window with wide eyes. "I can't believe we're really here." Hyun-Ki smiled. He was 45 years old and had spent his whole life studying alien biology, but he had never seen so many different species in one place. Ships of all shapes and sizes flew around the station. Some looked like metal fish. Others were round like bubbles. A few were so strange that Hyun-Ki couldn't even guess what they were. "Remember, Ji-won," he said, "we represent all of humanity today. Stay calm and be respectful." Their ship docked with a soft bump. The airlock opened, and they stepped into the station. The hallway was huge. The ceiling was so high that Hyun-Ki had to bend his neck back to see the top. Strange beings walked, floated, and crawled in all directions. A tall blue creature with many arms came toward them. Her skin looked like it was made of water, and her arms moved like ocean waves. "Welcome, Dr. Park," she said in perfect English. "I am Chief Medical Officer Vex Thara of the Altarian Republic. We are honored to have the first human join our assembly." Hyun-Ki bowed politely. "Thank you for inviting us. This is my assistant Ji-won." Vex Thara's arms waved in what might have been a smile. "Come. The main session begins soon. Many are curious about your species." They walked through corridors filled with amazing sights. The walls showed moving pictures of different worlds. Some planets were covered in purple oceans. Others had 3 suns in the sky. Hyun-Ki saw creatures he had only dreamed about in his studies. The main meeting hall was enormous. Thousands of seats were arranged in circles, going up and up like a stadium. Each seat was different, made for different types of bodies. Some had water tanks for sea creatures. Others had special gas mixtures for beings who breathed different air. "Your seats are here," Vex Thara said, pointing to 2 normal-looking chairs. "We made them based on human body measurements." Hyun-Ki and Ji-won sat down. Around them, hundreds of alien doctors were taking their places. A massive creature that looked like a walking mountain sat nearby. Its voice was so deep that Hyun-Ki felt it in his chest when it spoke. "So you are the humans," the creature rumbled. "I am Gorlak Prime of the Krillian Empire. We have heard much about your species joining the Galactic Council." "All good things, I hope," Hyun-Ki said with a nervous laugh. Gorlak Prime made a sound like rocks falling. Hyun-Ki realized it was laughter. "Your people are very young. Only 50 years in space. Most species here have been traveling the stars for thousands of years, but young species often have fresh ideas." The meeting began with a deep, musical sound that came from everywhere at once. A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed an elderly alien with silver skin and many eyes. "Welcome, healers of the galaxy," the hologram said. "Today we share knowledge to help all life thrive. We have many new discoveries to discuss." For the first hour, Hyun-Ki listened to presentations about diseases he had never heard of. There were viruses that lived in space. There were bacteria that could eat metal. One doctor talked about a plant that could think and feel emotions. Then it was Hyun-Ki's turn. He stood up and thousands of alien eyes turned toward him. His hands shook a little as he activated his presentation. "Fellow doctors," he began, "I want to share what we have learned about human medicine in our short time among the stars." His hologram showed pictures of human anatomy: hearts, lungs, brains, bones. The audience watched with polite interest. Some made notes. Others whispered to their neighbors. "Humans live an average of 80 years, Hyun-Ki continued. "We have successfully treated many diseases that once killed us. Our population is now over 10 billion on Earth, with millions more on colony worlds." A doctor with tentacles instead of arms raised one tentacle. "Dr. Park, what is the gestation period for human offspring?" Hyun-Ki smiled. This was basic biology. Human pregnancy lasts about 9 months. Babies are usually born weighing between 6 and 8 pounds. The whispers in the audience suddenly stopped. The silence was so complete that Hyun-Ki could hear his own heartbeat. Vexithara's watery arm stopped moving. Did you say 9 months? Yes, Hyun-Ki said, confused by the reaction. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Why? Gorlak Prime's rocky voice was barely a whisper. And they weigh only 8 pounds? Well, some are bigger, some smaller, Hyun-Ki said. Is there a problem? The elderly hologram in the center flickered. Dr. Park, please show us images of a newborn human. Hyun-Ki changed his display. Pictures of human babies appeared around the hall. Tiny faces, closed eyes, small hands wrapped in blankets. The reaction was immediate. Gasps, clicks, and sounds of shock came from all directions. Several doctors stood up from their seats. Others covered their eyes or turned away. Impossible, breathed a doctor who looked like a walking crystal. Those cannot be viable offspring. But they are, Hyun-Ki said, getting worried. All human babies look like this when they're born. What's wrong? Vexithara was moving toward him, her arms shaking. Dr. Park, those creatures, they cannot even open their eyes. They cannot walk. They cannot feed themselves. Of course not, Hyun-Ki said. They're newborns. It takes time for them to develop. How much time? Gorlak Prime rumbled. Hyun-Ki thought about it. Well, they usually start walking around 1-year-old. They begin talking around the same time. Full independence. Maybe 18 to 20 years. The silence that followed was so deep it felt like being underwater. Thousands of alien doctors stared at Hyun-Ki as if he had told them the impossible. Finally, a voice spoke from the back of the hall. It was thin and reedy, very old. Show us the development cycle of other species, the voice said. New holograms appeared. Pictures of alien babies from dozens of species filled the air. Each one looked almost exactly like a smaller version of the adult. They had open eyes, fur or scales, and looked ready to move and hunt and survive. Krillian young emerged from the egg fully capable of basic survival, Gorlak Prime explained. They require only minor care for perhaps 2 of your months. Altarian offspring swim and hunt within days of birth, Vexithara added, her voice sounding strange. All galactic species follow this pattern. Hyun-Ki looked around the hall. Every alien baby in the holograms looked ready for life. They were perfect miniature adults. Compared to them, human babies looked helpless and unfinished. Dr. Park, said the elderly voice from the back, by our standards, human young are born at approximately 40% development. They should not be able to survive. Hyun-Ki felt his mouth go dry. But they do survive. Humans have survived for thousands of years. That, said Vexithara, her arms trembling, should be impossible. The great hall fell silent again. Hyun-Ki looked at Ji-Won, who was staring at the alien baby pictures with wonder and fear. Dr. Park, Gorlak Prime said slowly, we need to understand this. A species that gives birth to unfinished young should have died out long ago. Yet humans not only survive, you thrive. You spread across the galaxy. We just take care of our babies, Hyun-Ki said weakly. Parents feed them, protect them, teach them. For 20 years? The crystal doctor's voice was full of disbelief, sometimes longer, Hyun-Ki admitted. The whispers started again, but they were different now. Not polite interest, but amazement and confusion. Doctors were pulling up their own data, comparing numbers, shaking heads and tentacles and whatever. They used to show disbelief. Vexithara came closer, her watery form rippling with emotion. Dr. Park, by the cosmic spiral, your young ones should still be developing for another full cycle inside the mother. How do they even survive? Hyun-Ki looked around the hall at thousands of alien faces, all staring at him with the same question in their eyes. For the first time in his life, he realized that being human might be stranger than he had ever imagined. The session was officially over, but nobody moved. They all kept staring at the pictures of human babies, trying to understand how something so helpless, could grow up to build spaceships and join the galactic community. Hyun-Ki sat down heavily in his chair. Tomorrow, he knew, the real questions would begin. Dr. Hyun-Ki Park couldn't sleep. He lay in his small room on the Crystal space station staring at the ceiling. Outside his window, alien ships moved like fireflies in the dark. But all he could think about were the shocked faces from the medical conference. A soft chime told him someone was calling. He pressed a button, and Ji-won's worried face appeared on the screen. "Doctor, are you awake?" she asked. "They want to meet with us again. Right now." Hyun-Ki sat up. "Who wants to meet with us?" "Everyone," Ji-won said. "The entire Galactic Medical Assembly. They've been working all night." 20 minutes later, Hyun-Ki and Ji-won walked into the Great Hall again. But this time, it looked different. Thousands of holographic displays floated in the air. Charts, graphs, and numbers covered every surface. Alien doctors were everywhere, talking in excited voices. Vexithara glided toward them, her watery arms moving faster than usual. "Dr. Park, thank you for coming. We have been investigating your claims about human development." "Investigating?" Hyun-Ki asked. "We had to make sure," rumbled Gorlak Prime from nearby. "What you told us yesterday, it breaks every rule of biology we know." A new voice joined the conversation. It was calm and clear, speaking perfect Korean. "Dr. Park, my name is Dr. So-Min Lee. I'm joining you from Earth." Hyun-Ki looked around and saw a hologram of a Korean woman in a white lab coat. She was standing in what looked like a research laboratory. "Dr. Lee," Hyun-Ki said with relief. "I'm glad they called you." "The Galactic Assembly contacted Earth this morning," Dr. So-Min explained. "They wanted to confirm your data about human births. I'm a developmental biologist, so they asked me to join this meeting." An ancient alien approached them. It was tall and thin, with silver skin that seemed to glow. Its eyes were deep and wise, like it had seen many worlds and many years. "I am Elder Zephyrian," the being said in a voice like wind through trees. "I have lived for 1,200 of your years. I have studied the biology of every known species in this galaxy. But I have never seen anything like what you showed us yesterday." The elder gestured to the floating displays around them. "We have spent the night comparing human development to every other species. The results are disturbing." Dr. So-Min's hologram moved closer. "What did you find?" Gorlak Prime's rocky voice filled the hall. "Human offspring are born at what we would consider 40 to 50% development. By galactic standards, they should still be growing inside the mother for another 9 to 12 months. "That's impossible," Ji-won whispered. "That's what we thought," said Vexthera. "But we checked the data 20 times. Every galactic species carries their young for 18 to 24 of your months. Our babies emerge nearly ready for independent life." New holograms appeared around them. Pictures of alien babies from dozens of worlds. Each one looked capable and alert. They had open eyes, working limbs, and intelligent expressions. "Krillian young can hunt small prey within hours of hatching," Gorlak Prime explained. "Altarian offspring swim and communicate immediately. Zephyrian, babies can fly and solve basic problems on their first day." Dr. So-Min nodded slowly. "And human babies can't even hold up their own heads." "Exactly," said Elder Zephyrian. "By our mathematics, species with such helpless young should have died out millions of years ago. Predators would have killed them. Food shortages would have starved them. They simply could not survive." Hyun-Ki felt a chill run down his spine. "But humans did survive. We're here." "Yes," the elder said. "And that should be impossible." "Doctor," So-Min's hologram flickered as she accessed new data. "I think I understand what's happening here. May I show you something?" The displays around them changed. Now they showed human brain scans, colorful images of neural networks growing and changing. "Human brains are different," Dr. So-Min explained. "When other species are born, their brains are almost fully developed. They know how to survive from day one. But human brains are only partially formed at birth." "That sounds like a terrible disadvantage," said Vexithara. "You would think so," Dr. So-Min agreed. But it's actually our greatest strength. Because human brains finish developing outside the womb, they can adapt to any environment. She changed the display to show time-lapse images of human brain development. A human brain continues growing and changing for 25 years. During that time, it learns to handle whatever world it finds itself in. Elder Zephyrian's glowing, skin dimmed with thought. Interesting, but how does this help with survival? Watch this, Dr. Somin said. The hologram showed human children learning different skills. Walking, talking, using tools, solving problems. Human children learn faster than any adult of any species. Their unfinished brains absorb everything. Gorlak Prime leaned forward. But they are still helpless for years. How do they not die? Because humans developed something no other species has, Dr. Somin explained. Extended family care. Human parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and siblings all help raise the young. The entire community protects them. For 20 years? Vexithara's arms rippled with disbelief. Sometimes longer, Dr. Somin admitted. Human children don't leave home until they're fully ready, and even then their families still help them. The hall filled with whispers and clicks and sounds of amazement. Alien doctors were looking at each other with confusion and wonder. So you sacrifice immediate survival for long-term adaptability, Elder Zephyrian said slowly. Exactly, Dr. Somin said. Other species are born ready for one specific environment, but humans are born ready to learn any environment. A new voice joined the conversation. It was deep and commanding. This is Commander Tae-ho Kim, speaking from the human colony on Kepler 438b. Another hologram appeared. A middle-aged Korean man in a military uniform stood beside Dr. So-min. Commander Kim, Hyun-ki said, why are you joining us? Because I think these doctors need to see proof of what Dr. Lee is talking about, the commander said. My colony has been on Kepler 438b for only 5 years. The planet has 2 suns, purple plants, and gravity that's 30% stronger than Earth. The alien doctors listened carefully. When we arrived, our equipment told us the planet was barely livable for humans, Commander Tae-ho continued. The air was thin. The food was poisonous. The weather was deadly. How did you survive? Asked Gorlak Prime. Our children, the commander said simply. The kids adapted first. Within 6 months, they were breathing the thin air better than the adults. Within a year, they had learned which plants were safe to eat. Within 2 years, they were teaching us how to live on this world. The hall fell silent. Our 15-year-old children now work as planetary guides, Commander Tae-ho said. They know this world better than our best scientists, and they learned it all by just living here. Elder Zephyrian's ancient voice was barely a whisper. Your young ones. They adapted to an alien world faster than your adults? Much faster, the commander confirmed. The younger they were when we arrived, the better they adapted. It's like their brains were designed to learn new worlds. Dr. Somin nodded. That's exactly what happened. Human brains evolved to be unfinished at birth so they could finish developing in whatever environment they found themselves in. Desert, jungle, ice age, alien planet, Commander Tae-ho added. It doesn't matter. Human children will adapt. Vexithara's watery form was trembling. You turned your greatest weakness into your greatest strength. We didn't turn it into anything, Dr. Somin said. Evolution did that for us. Millions of years ago, human mothers couldn't give birth to babies with fully developed brains. The babies' heads would be too big. So evolution chose a different path. Instead of making babies ready for one world, Commander Tae-ho said, evolution made them ready for every world. Gorlak Prime's rocky voice rumbled through the hall. In my 600 years of life, I have seen many wonders, but I have never seen a species that survives by being born incomplete. Elder Zephyrian looked around at all the floating displays, all the data about human development. His glowing skin pulsed with deep thought. Dr. Park, he said finally, your species has achieved something we thought was impossible. You have created the most adaptable beings in the known galaxy. Hyun-Ki felt overwhelmed. Yesterday he had just been sharing basic medical information. Now he was learning that humans were unique in ways he had never imagined. "There's more," Dr. So-min said quietly. "This is just the beginning of what makes humans special." "More?" Vexthara asked. "Oh yes," Dr. So-min said with a small smile. "Wait until you see how long humans live compared to other species." The alien doctors looked at each other with growing amazement and concern. If human birth was this shocking, what other surprises did this strange species have in store? The next morning, Dr. Hyun-Ki Park walked into the medical assembly hall to find chaos. Alien doctors were arguing in dozens of languages. Holographic displays showed numbers and charts everywhere. Some creatures were pacing back and forth. Others floated in circles. A few were making sounds that might have been crying. "What's happening?" Hyun-Ki asked Ji-won. Before she could answer, Vexthara rushed toward them. Her watery arms were moving so fast they looked like a storm. "Dr. Park," she called. "We have a problem. A very big problem." "What kind of problem?" Hyun-Ki asked. "We've been checking human lifespan data all night," Vexthara said. "The numbers don't make sense. They can't be right." Elder Zephyrian approached them, his silver skin dim with worry. "Dr. Park, according to our calculations, humans should live much shorter lives than other species." "Why?" Hyun-Ki asked. "Because you start life so underdeveloped," the elder explained. "Species that are born weak usually die young. It's a basic rule of biology." Gorlak Prime's rocky voice rumbled from across the hall. "But our data shows that humans live longer than most of us. That should be impossible." A new hologram flickered to life near them. It showed an elderly Korean woman sitting in a comfortable chair. She had gray hair, kind eyes, and was smiling warmly. "Hello," she said, in perfect Korean. "My name is Min-ha Park. I'm 89 years old." The alien doctors stopped arguing. They turned to stare at the hologram in amazement. 89 years, whispered a crystal-like creature. "That's impossible. She should be dead." Min-ha laughed, a sound like silver bells. "I'm very much alive, thank you. This is my great-grandson, Young-ho." A small boy appeared in the hologram. He looked about 8 years old with bright eyes and a curious expression. "Hello, everyone," Young-ho said, waving at the thousands of alien doctors. 89 years, Vexthara repeated, her arms trembling. "And she has great-grandchildren?" 6 great-grandchildren, Min-ha said proudly. "And 2 great-great-grandchildren." A thin alien with many eyes stepped forward. "I am Dr. Kethmoran of the Nexalian Republic. I am 84 years old and I am considered ancient among my people. Most Nexalians die around 85. "Oh my," Min-ha said gently. "You're quite young then. I have friends who are over 100. Dr. Kethmoran's many eyes blinked rapidly. "Over 100? My neighbor Mrs. Sunjaw is 103, Min-ha continued. "She still tends her garden every day." The hall erupted in shocked voices. Creatures were clicking, whistling, and making sounds of disbelief. "This is wrong," Dr. Kethmoran said weakly. "Species that are born underdeveloped should have shorter lives, not longer ones." Elder Zephyrian moved closer to the hologram. "Mrs. Min-ha, how is this possible? Your species starts life in such a weak state." Min-ha smiled. "Would you like to hear my story?" "Please," the elder said. Min-ha settled back in her chair. Young-ho sat beside her, listening carefully even though he had probably heard the story many times. "I was born in 1936, Min-ha began. "When I was a child, there was a terrible war. Many people died. There was very little food." "How did you survive?" asked Vexthara. "My family took care of me," Min-ha said simply. "My mother, father, grandparents, aunts and uncles. When I was sick, they nursed me. When I was hungry, they shared their food. When I was scared, they held me." "But you were just a helpless human child," Dr. Kethmoran said. "Yes," Min-ha agreed. "But helpless children grow up. I survived the war. I survived famines, diseases, and many hardships. I married my husband. and had 4 children. How many generations have you seen? Elder Zephyrian asked. Minha counted on her fingers. I have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren, 6 generations total, Young Ho spoke up. Great-great-grandmother teaches us songs and stories. She remembers things from long ago. What kinds of things? Asked Gorlak Prime. She remembers when humans first went to space, Young Ho said proudly. She saw the first moon landing on television. She was there when we made contact with aliens. Minha nodded. I've lived through amazing changes. When I was young, we didn't have computers. Now my great-grandson talks to aliens from across the galaxy. Dr. Kethamaran was staring at Minha with something like awe. I am dying, he said quietly. My species reaches the end of life at 85 years. But you have already lived, longer than my entire lifespan, and you're still healthy. I'm sorry to hear about your condition, Minha said gently. But yes, I expect to live several more years. My doctor says I'm in good health. Several more years, Dr. Kethamaran repeated. You will outlive me by decades. A new hologram appeared. It showed Ambassador Jae-sung Kim, a dignified Korean man with silver hair. Greetings, he said. I'm Ambassador Jae-sung Kim, age 67. I represent humanity in the Galactic Council. 67 and still working? Asked a floating alien with tentacles. Of course, Ambassador Jae-sung said. Many humans work well into their 70s or 80s, some even longer. This is disturbing, said Elder Zephyrian. By our mathematics, the most underdeveloped species should be the shortest lived. But humans are proving to be among the longest lived. Dr. Somin's hologram reappeared from the previous day. I think I can explain this paradox, she said. All the alien doctors turned toward her. Human brains don't just adapt to environments, Dr. Somin explained. They also develop extraordinary repair systems. Repair systems? Vexthara asked. Because human brains must finish developing outside the womb, they create multiple backup pathways, Dr. Somin said. If one part gets damaged, other parts take over the job. She showed new brain scans. Look at this. This is the brain of a 70-year-old human. See how it has developed alternate neural networks, redundant systems, backup connections? Like having spare parts, Young Ho said helpfully. Exactly like spare parts, Dr. Somin agreed. Other species are born with finished brains. If something breaks, it can't be replaced. But human brains keep growing and adapting their whole lives. So the same adaptability that helps human children learn new worlds also helps elderly humans stay healthy? Elder Zephyrian asked. Yes, Dr. Somin said. Human brains are constantly rewiring themselves, fixing problems, finding new solutions. Minha spoke up again. I've had many health problems over the years, but I always recovered. My doctor says my brain keeps finding new ways to work around the damage. Furthermore, Dr. Somin continued, humans developed strong social support systems. We take care of our elderly just like we take care of our young. I live with my family, Minha explained. My granddaughter checks on me every day. Young Ho visits me every week. When I need help, someone is always there. Ambassador Jae-sung nodded. Human communities support their members from birth to death. We don't abandon anyone. Dr. Kethamaran was silent for a long moment. His many eyes were focused on Minha's hologram. You have already outlived me, he said finally, and you're still telling stories to your great-great-grandchildren. Would you like to hear another story? Minha offered kindly. Please, Dr. Kethamaran whispered. As Minha began telling a tale about her childhood, Young Ho started translating it into 3 different alien languages. The boy was doing it without thinking, switching between languages as easily as breathing. How does he know our languages? Asked a surprised alien doctor. Young Ho learns languages quickly, Minha said proudly. All human children do. Their brains are still growing. He learned Nexalian in just 2 days, Ambassador Jae-sung added, and Krillian in less than a week. Gorlak Prime leaned forward. The child learned our language in 1 week? It was fun, Young-ho said in perfect Krillian. Your language sounds like music. The alien doctors looked at each other in amazement. Here was proof of everything they had been discussing. A human child, born helpless and underdeveloped, who could now learn alien languages in days. And an elderly human woman who was outliving species that were born ready for life. Elder Zephyrian's voice was filled with wonder. Your species turned the greatest biological disadvantage into the greatest advantage. We didn't turn it into anything, Minha said gently. We just lived our lives, took care of each other, and kept learning. For nearly 90 years, Dr. Kethmoran said in amazement. And hopefully many more, Minha replied with a smile. The session ended. The alien doctors sat in stunned silence. Everything they thought they knew about biology had been turned upside down. The weakest newborns in the galaxy had become the longest-lived adults. And somehow it all made perfect sense. Young-ho waved goodbye to all the alien doctors. Nice meeting you, he called in 6 different languages. The future, it seemed, belonged to the species that was born unfinished but never stopped growing. Dr. Hyun-Ki Park woke up to find his room filled with light. But it wasn't sunlight. It was the glow from hundreds of holographic displays floating outside his window. The entire space station was buzzing with activity. Ji-won's voice came through. The communication system. Doctor, you need to see this. The whole galaxy is talking about humans. When Hyun-Ki reached the main hall, he saw something amazing. The assembly had grown from thousands to millions of participants. Holograms of alien scientists from every corner of the galaxy filled the space. Some were joining from distant planets. Others called in from deep space ships. What's happening? Hyun-Ki asked. Vexithara glided toward him, her watery form shimmering with excitement. Word has spread, Dr. Park. Every major scientific institution in the galaxy wants to understand the human paradox. A new hologram appeared near them. It showed an elderly Korean man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. I am Professor Sang-Woo Lee, he said. I study human evolution on Earth. Professor Lee, Hyun-Ki said with relief. I'm glad you're here. These alien doctors have many questions. I have answers, Professor Sang-Woo said with a chuckle, though some of them might be hard to believe. A massive presence filled the center of the hall. It was unlike anything Hyun-Ki had ever seen. The being looked like it was made of living shadow, with thousands of tiny lights flickering inside its dark form. I am Hive Queen Naltex, the creature said in a voice like wind through stars. I speak for 2 trillion minds across the Nexus Collective. We have existed for 2,000 years. We have never encountered a species like yours. Professor Sang-Woo bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, I'm honored to meet you. Explain to us, the Hive Queen commanded, how a species survives by making the worst possible evolutionary choice. What do you mean? Asked Professor Sang-Woo. Elder Zephyrian stepped forward. Professor, every species in the galaxy chooses the same evolutionary path. We make our young strong enough to survive immediately. But humans chose the opposite. You made your young completely helpless. That seems like evolutionary suicide, added Gorlak Prime. Professor Sang-Woo nodded slowly. You're right. It was the biggest gamble in evolutionary history, and for millions of years it almost failed. New holograms appeared around them, pictures of early human ancestors, ape-like creatures living in trees and caves. Long ago, human ancestors were like other animals, Professor Sang-Woo explained. Our babies were born ready to survive. But then something changed. What changed? Asked Vexithera. Human brains started getting bigger, the professor said. Much bigger. But there was a problem. He showed anatomical displays of human skeletons. Human mothers couldn't give birth to babies with fully developed, large brains. The babies' heads would be too big to fit through the birth canal. So what happened? Dr. Kethmoran asked weakly from his medical chair. Evolution had a choice, Professor Sang-Woo said. Keep small brains and stay like other animals, or find a different way to have big brains. And humans chose big brains. Young-Ho's voice piped up. The 8-year-old boy had joined the hologram with his great-grandmother Minha. That's right, Young-ho, Professor Sang-woo smiled. Evolution chose intelligence over immediate survival. A new voice joined the conversation. It was strong and confident. This is Captain Dongmin Park calling from the human colony on Titan 7. Another hologram appeared. A middle-aged Korean man in a spacesuit stood in what looked like a harsh, icy landscape. Captain Park, Hyun-ki said. Why are you calling from Titan 7? That planet is supposed to be impossible to colonize. That's exactly why I'm calling, Captain Dongmin said. I want to show these alien doctors what the human evolutionary gamble achieved. He turned his hologram display to show the landscape around him. It was a world of ice and storm, with purple lightning crackling across alien skies. Titan 7 has surface temperatures of -60 degrees, Captain Dongmin explained. The air is poison. The storms can kill you in minutes. No known species could survive here. Then how are you surviving? Asked the Hive Queen Nalthex. Because we brought our children, Captain Dongmin said simply. The alien doctors gasped. You brought helpless human young to a deadly world? Vexithara asked in horror. We brought human children, Captain Dongmin corrected. And they saved us all. He changed the display to show human children playing in the snow. They were wearing strange clothes and seemed perfectly comfortable in the hostile environment. Within 6 months, our 10-year-old daughter figured out how to make the local ice safe to drink, Captain Dongmin continued. Our 12-year-old son learned to predict the storms by watching the sky. Our teenagers mapped safe paths through the dangerous zones. Children did this? Elder Zephyrian asked in amazement. Their brains were still growing, Captain Dongmin explained. Still adapting. The harsh environment didn't kill them, it taught them. Professor Sang-woo nodded proudly. This is what the evolutionary gamble achieved. Other species are perfectly adapted for one environment, but humans are perfectly adapted for adaptation itself. Dr. Yujin's hologram appeared. She was a Korean woman in a laboratory coat, surrounded by brain-scanning equipment. I'm Dr. Yujin. Kim, a neurologist, she said. I've been studying the brains of children who grew up on colony worlds. What did you find? Asked Professor Sang-woo. Something incredible, Dr. Yujin said. Children who grew up on high-gravity worlds developed stronger neural pathways for balance and coordination. Children from low-oxygen worlds developed enhanced brain efficiency. Children from worlds with different light spectrums developed new visual processing abilities. Each environment shapes the developing brain, Professor Sang-woo explained. Human children don't just adapt to new worlds. They become optimized for them. Young-ho spoke up again. My cousin lives on a water world called Aqua Prime. She can hold her breath for 20 minutes now. 20 minutes? Dr. Kethmoran asked weakly. Her brain adapted to the ocean environment, Dr. Yujin explained. Human neuroplasticity allows for modifications that would be impossible in other species. The Hive Queen Nalthex's shadow form rippled with thought, so humans sacrificed immediate survival for unlimited adaptability. Exactly, Professor Sang-woo said. Instead of being born ready for one world, humans are born ready to become perfect for any world. Captain Dongmin's hologram showed more, scenes from his colony. We now have families that have lived on Titan 7 for 3 generations. The newest children are so adapted to this world that they're more comfortable here than they would be on Earth. But the risk, Vexthara said, her arms trembling. If human children can't adapt quickly enough, they die. Yes, Professor Sang-woo admitted. The evolutionary gamble had a terrible cost. For millions of years, many human children died, but the ones who survived became incredibly adaptable. And now? Elder Zephyrian asked. Now humans can colonize worlds that kill other species, Captain Dongmin said. We can survive ice ages, desert expansions, climate changes. We can even live on alien worlds. Minha's gentle voice joined the conversation. I lived through the last ice age on Earth. Well, a small one. My community survived because we adapted. At 89 years old, she's still adapting. Young-ho added proudly. The hive queen Nalthex was silent for a long moment. Her shadow form pulsed with the thoughts of 2 trillion connected minds. In 2,000 years of collective memory, she finally said, we have never encountered a species that turned their greatest weakness into evolutionary dominance. We didn't turn it into anything, Professor Sangwoo said humbly. Evolution did it for us. We just survived long enough to see the results. Dr. Kethamaran, still weak but fascinated, spoke from his medical chair. Professor, you're saying that human helplessness at birth is actually a survival feature? The greatest survival feature in galactic history, Professor Sangwoo confirmed. Other species are locked into specific environments, but humans can become native to any world within a single generation. We are the universal adapters, Captain, Dongmin said proudly. Elder Zephyrian's silver skin glowed with deep thought. You weaponized your own vulnerability. We didn't weaponize anything, Minha said gently. We just took care of our children and let them grow. Young-ho giggled. And we kept growing our whole lives. As the session ended, the alien doctors sat in stunned silence. They had witnessed the most successful evolutionary strategy in known history. A species that chose to be born weak so they could become infinitely strong. The gamble had paid off beyond anyone's imagination. Tomorrow, announced Elder Zephyrian, we will discuss the full implications of human biology for the galaxy. But everyone already knew the answer. The future belonged to the species that never stopped adapting, even at 89 years old. The final day of the Galactic Medical Assembly was unlike anything in the galaxy's recorded history. Dr. Hyun-Ki Park stood before representatives from 847 different species. Every major civilization had sent their best, scientists to witness what they were calling the human revelation. I never expected this when I came here, Hyun-Ki whispered to Ji-won. None of us did, she replied, looking at the vast crowd of alien beings filling the crystal hall. A hologram appeared at the center of the assembly. It showed Chancellor Woo-Jin Lee, the elderly leader of the Human Colonial Council. His kind face and silver hair made him look like everyone's grandfather. Greetings, friends from across the galaxy, Chancellor Woo-Jin said in a warm voice. I'm honored to address this historic gathering. Elder Zephyrian stepped forward, his silver skin glowing brightly. Chancellor Lee, in 4 days we have learned that everything we thought we knew about biology was wrong. Your species has challenged our most basic understanding of life itself. We didn't mean to challenge anything, Chancellor Woo-Jin said with a gentle smile. We were just being human. A ripple of laughter passed through the alien audience. After 4 days of shocking discoveries, they were beginning to appreciate human humor. Dr. Hae-sun Kim's hologram appeared next to the Chancellor. She was a young, Korean woman with bright, intelligent eyes. I'm Dr. Hae-sun Kim, she said. I lead the Human Longevity Research Project. I have some final data to share about human biology. More surprises? Asked Vexithara, her watery arms rippling with anticipation. The biggest one yet, Dr. Hae-sun said. We've been studying why humans live so long despite being born so underdeveloped. What we found will change medicine forever. New displays filled the air around them, charts showing cellular repair, brain plasticity, and genetic adaptability. Human cells don't just repair themselves, Dr. Hae-sun explained. They improve themselves. Every time a human adapts to a new environment, their cells learn better ways to survive. Dr. Kethamaran, now confined to a medical support system, listened carefully. Are you saying human cells evolve during a single lifetime? Exactly, Dr. Hae-sun confirmed. Human cellular repair systems become more sophisticated with each challenge they face. That's why humans who live through hardships often live longer than those who don't. Minha's hologram reappeared, still sitting in her comfortable chair with Young-ho beside her. I lived through wars, famines, diseases, and the colonization of 3 different worlds, Minha said. Each challenge made me stronger, not weaker. At 89. Her cellular repair systems are more advanced than they were at 50, Dr. Hae-sun added. Her body literally learned how to live longer by facing difficulties. The hive queen Nalthex's shadow form pulsed with the thoughts of trillions of minds. This is unprecedented. No known species improves with age. Humans do, Young-Ho said proudly. Great-great-grandmother says she gets better every year. And the children? Asked Elder Zephyrian. What about their adaptability? A new hologram appeared. It showed little Sua, Hyun-Ki's 6-year-old daughter, playing with a group of alien children at the space station's daycare center. That's my daughter, Hyun-Ki said with surprise. What is she doing here? We invited her, Vexithara explained. We wanted to observe human child development firsthand. They watched as Sua played with young aliens from a dozen different species. She was speaking to each child in their own language, switching between alien communications methods without even thinking about it. How many languages is she using? Asked Gorlak Prime in amazement. 12 so far, Jiwan counted. And 3 different types of telepathic communication. She learned them all this week, added one of the daycare workers. A gentle creature with feathers and 4 arms. Sua noticed the attention and waved at the assembly. Hi, Daddy, she called in Korean. Then she said hello in 8 other alien languages. The child learned our communication methods in days, whispered an elderly alien with tentacles for arms. What we spend years studying, she absorbed through play, Chancellor Wu Jin chuckled. That's normal for human children. Their brains are still growing, still connecting. Everything is possible to them. This is the key, Dr. Hai-sun announced. Human brains never stop growing, never stop adapting. From birth until death, humans continue developing new capabilities. Even at my age, Minha added, I'm still learning new things. Yesterday, Young-Ho taught me how to use the Galactic communication system, and I learned 3 new alien games from the kids at the daycare, Young-Ho said excitedly. Elder Zephyrian's ancient voice filled the hall. In my 1,200 years, I have seen the rise and fall of many species, but I have never seen a species that treats learning as a lifelong process. That's because most species are born finished, Professor Sang-Woo's hologram explained. Their development stops at maturity, but humans are never finished developing. Captain Dongmin appeared from his ice world colony. Our teenagers here, on Titan 7, are now developing new abilities we've never seen before. Enhanced cold resistance, improved storm prediction, even limited telepathic communication with the local ice creatures. Telepathic communication? Vexithara asked in amazement. It started as a game, Captain Dongmin explained. But now some of our kids can actually sense the ice creatures' emotions. Their brains adapted to form completely new neural pathways. The alien doctors were speechless. Here was a species that not only survived being born incomplete, but used that incompleteness to develop abilities that no other species possessed. What does this mean for the galaxy? Asked the Hive Queen Nalthex. Chancellor. Wu Jin's expression became serious. It means we need to work together. Humans can help colonize impossible worlds, but we need your knowledge and technology. Together we can reach places none of us could go alone. Agreed, said Elder Zephyrian. From today forward, the Galactic Medical Assembly officially recognizes human biology as a unique evolutionary achievement. Furthermore, announced Vexthara, we propose joint research programs to study human adaptability. Perhaps other species can learn from your example. And human children should be included in our education programs, added Gorlak Prime. Their learning abilities could benefit all our young ones. Sua looked up from her play. Can I come? To school with alien kids? She asked excitedly. Of course, laughed Chancellor Wu Jin. That's exactly what we're talking about. As the assembly began making plans for cooperation, Dr. Kethmoran spoke quietly from his medical support system. I will not live to see the results of this cooperation, he said, but I am grateful to have witnessed this discovery. Humans have shown us that weakness can become strength, that being unfinished can be perfect. Minha's gentle voice responded. Dr. Kethamoran, you've given us something precious too. You've helped us understand how special we are. We never realized it before. Will you tell my people about human longevity research? Dr. Kethamoran asked hopefully. Perhaps it can help future generations of Nexalians. Of course, Dr. Hyson promised. We'll share everything we know. Young Ho spoke up, and I'll learn your language better so I can help translate. As the final session ended, representatives from hundreds of worlds began making plans. Trade agreements, research partnerships, cultural exchanges, and joint colonization projects. The galaxy will never be the same, Elder Zephyrian announced. Today marks the beginning of a new age of cooperation. Sua ran up to her father's hologram. Daddy, I made friends with kids from 20 different planets. Can they come visit Earth? I think that can be arranged, Hyunki said, picking up his daughter. As alien families began contacting human colonies and human researchers started sharing their data with galactic institutions, something beautiful was happening. The species that had seemed weakest was bringing the galaxy together. Look around, Chancellor Wu Jin said to the assembly. Different species, different worlds, different biologies, but all of us learning from each other. Just like human children do, added Minha with a knowing smile. The crystal space station sparkled with new energy as thousands of species began the greatest cooperation project in galactic history. Human adaptability would open impossible worlds. Alien technology would make human colonies thrive. Together, they would explore places no single species could reach. And at the center of it all, human children played with alien youngsters, learning each other's languages and customs as easily as breathing. The future belonged to all of them. The day the galaxy discovered humans are born early, and still outlive them, had become the day the galaxy discovered that being different was the greatest strength of all. As Sua waved goodbye to her new alien friends, she was already planning their next playdate. After all, her brain was still growing, still connecting, still discovering new possibilities, just like every human, for their entire, impossibly long lives.